Hey everybody, Helping Hands here. Today I will be giving you a build order you can use for the new Wehrmacht Italian Coastal Battle Group. This build order has been tried and tested multiple times in team games, however, I expect this build won't be suitable for 1v1 matchup, as I'll explain later. Rest assured, however, I will try and figure out a 1v1 build for this commander in the near future. So here we have the absolute core of the build here. So you start off with your coastal reserves, you call that onto the field, your first Italian coastal reserves, then you take up to tier 1, and you get yourself a machine gun out straight away. Then you get a second coastal reserve squad. And as soon as you can afford it, you generally want to be putting a med bunker down fairly centre near the front line and near to where your teammate can benefit from it as well. Then you want to go to the artillery officer. You want to be spamming that guy's off-map ability as much as you can and trying to get him level up because he's very good with that. And you can deny a lot of territory with his ability as well. Then you want to be thinking about taking up to tier 3 and then taking support elements. And now you have a choice, depending on how well you're going in the match. You may need to get AT first, you might need to go for the pack gun to deal with their armour, but if you're up against a lot of indirect fire, let's say the Brits are spamming their 4.2-inch mortars, or we've just got a lot of mortars on the field in general, or there's a lot of support weapons, you might want to go for the Nebel first, but generally you want to get both. So this is why I've done, it's optional to either go this way or this way. Then once you've gotten both these units out, then you want to go for you want to get yourself your command bunker, and you want to be placing that fairly close to your med bunker. And I'll do a live demonstration of this in a moment. Around this point, another option is to go for a second Nebelwerfer, depending on how many support weapons your opponents have and things like that. So I would always maybe suggest even getting a second Nebel here. But then after you go for the command bunker, you want to go for tier 4 and start churning out the Panzer IVs. If you are really struggling for fuel at this point, then you may have to back tech and get yourself the Stug out. I would always advise against going the Stug because it's just generally really bad against infantry. But if you need something to kill armor and you've only got the pack guns for AT, it's not it's not going to really cut it into late game, just pure packs. You might have to go for the Stug. And also you got to bear in mind that the coastal reserves do have AT grenades, so if you play with your pack gun with your coastal reserves, you'll do quite well. But this is the core of your army, and we'll get into it proper, and I'll give you a demonstration in a match here. So we've begun a match, going my pioneers, setting them out, and then getting my tier 1, immediately putting it down and facing it the right way and the front of my base. I'm then going to be getting my coastal reserves out, clicking the Italian Coastal Battle Group, and then calling them onto the field. Tier 1's done. I'm going to get the machine gun out. Bear in mind, this has been sped up. Or rather, the game has got the cheat mode on, so everything's instant spawning. But you just hopefully this gives you guys a rough idea of what's going on here. So we send our units out, we start capping with them, and then once we've got the machine gun out, we want to get another coastal reserve squad out. So we're going to rally them onto the field as well. And so generally with the coastal reserves, you want to be making sure that they're kind of playing a little bit ahead of your machine gun, and then spotting for targets for your machine gun to set up and suppress. And the coastal reserves are great for laying down sandbags and barbed wire. So you constantly want to be doing that. Strengthening positions around points. And have your pioneers keep capping. So now once you've got your 3 squads out and you're a little bit into the game, you now want to be thinking about getting your medical bunker down. You kind of want to put it kind of central near the middle VP. So my teammate can benefit from this as well. And as soon as you get your first 70 munitions, you want to be upgrading that medical bunker. So that's where your first 70 munitions should go. Once the medical bunker's up, you can see me there checking for the artillery officer. And you should be calling him onto the field. Like so. Then you want to be taking to tier 3. You just double click C on your keyboard. And it will just build anywhere in your base. And there we go. There's tier 3 up. And now you want to be taking the support elements, which is selected down there, but you can also now take the pack gun, if you wanted to get it out by the pack gun, and then you want to go for the Nebelwerfer, and you want to be using this to smash, as we said before, like enemy support weapons, all those annoying mortars, and obviously the pack gun's there to kill armor. But again, you want to make sure your pack gun is near your infantry, near the med bunker, so if it gets hurt, it can reinforce. You always want to be playing around your med bunker with this build. I've also got the option here. You maybe want to get Panzer Grenadiers potentially if the map suggests. It's a close quarters combat map, a CQC map, and also maybe the Stug, as we said earlier, if you really need some AT against maybe Shermans showing up. But once you've done that, you want to tech up to tier 4, and you want to just start getting out Panzer IVs. One also thing that you can do, guys, is since you're playing with a lot of tier 3 units and tier 4 units, you'll be wanting to get their upgrade, their veterancy upgrade as well at some point. All depends on how much fuel and extra manpower you have available. But if you are floating any, if you're noticing you're floating some resources, spend it in those upgrades, in those techs, and that will really benefit your units. So now we want to go, support bunkers is the next CP thing you want to get, the next use of your command point. You could go designated command bunker if you've got floating a lot of munitions as well with your next one, but normally I like to go for the 33% cost reduction on everything else. And now I'm going to be putting my command bunker down, and it's going to be really close to my medical bunker. The reason why I'm facing it away from the front line is because when units retreat to the medical bunker, they always retreat to the backside of it. So if I have the backside facing the front line, their retreat path is shortened, as you can see here. Also, remember to press Z on your keyboard here to activate the full retreat point. You can deactivate it any time, and currently has no cooldown. I imagine in the future it will probably have a slight cooldown on the retreat toggle function here, but just bear that in mind. And you can have multiple of these command bunkers down to shorten your retreat path across multiple fronts. And the reason why you want it really close to your med bunker is that when you've got squads retreat back to here, they'll automatically start reinforcing and healing because of the med bunker. Which would be really good. And also, you want to put more bunkers down, as these guys, specifically the Coast Reserves, the only squads in the game currently that have this function, is that they will automatically regenerate 3 men on their squads after a short amount of time if they play around bunkers. So that's one really good thing about the Coastal Reserves. And just also make sure, with this position here, you can keep fortifying while your squad is reinforcing in this area. You can really help fortify this position for yourself. And just keep wiring, putting sandbags and wiring down like this, and really fortifying and making this position a lot stronger for yourself, and wiring off all the the potential cover points your opponent could use, as you can see I'm doing right now. So one other thing, guys, which is huge when you're playing this battle group, is that when you're going for coastal wall, your mines are also 35% cheaper, as well as all the upgrades for bunkers and such, and bunkers themselves. But mines are amazing. I always say, so the second rule of Company Heroes is mines win games. So you should be spamming these everywhere, especially now they're 90 munitions, not 30. And mines are great. So you could, and with the fact that you've got Coastal Reserves, you should have 2 of these if you keep them alive. They lay mines and fortifications very quickly. Hang on, I've got the cheat mod on right now. So if I turn off the instant construction on, you'll see still how quickly they lay the mine. So there you go, they're laying the mine there. Let's just get a pioneer and a coastal reserve together to lay a mine. I'm pretty sure the coastal reserves, yeah, you can see the coastal reserves build the mine almost twice as fast as the pioneer, because they have, they have 3 extra men. So they're much, quicker at building all kinds of fortifications and stuff. So yeah, you want to be laying mines, on this side, the Victory Point, for instance, on the main road over here, choke points, so these bridge crossings. Just honestly, just keep spamming loads and loads of mines. Most your opponent will only have 1 sweeper, and if they have a sweeper, that means they'll have 1 less flamethrower potentially on their main line. Like engineers or sappers. So yeah, just constantly keep spamming mines, people. If you've got the munitions to spare, just keep lobbing down mines, and try and lay them in a pattern like this. Rather than, I would do that instead of laying them really close together like this, because if you lay them close together, they'll trigger each other, right? And then these extra mines here will not blow up the infantry unit that hit it, right? So try and lay them, separate it a little bit, and like I say, lay them in good choke points and stuff. Finally, once you become kind of population cap with Matt getting too many Panzer IVs and too many mainline units, then I would suggest utilising your excess resources and in conjunction with Coastal Wall to keep making a load of bunkers. Things like machine gun bunkers, anti-tank bunkers, and also going for the other tech choices on your battle group, which is the fortified bunker upgrades, so your bunkers are a lot more durable and they repair out of combat. So you want to be going for those kinds of things. The pack gun bunker is actually really good, and has actually, I think, a little bit more range than a standard pack gun that you normally have, and it's quite tanky as well with all these upgrades. If you take the ones on the battle group as well, so it's pretty darn good. One other thing you could do as well is put yourself maybe a repair bunker on the backside of all your bunkers as well, so that they will all repair. It's worth noting that in Company Heroes 3, the repair bunkers will repair everything in the radius. It doesn't have like repair models, guys on the repair station that go out and repair one thing at a time. Everything will get repaired within its circumference, including vehicles and bunkers. So bear that in mind as well, and try and get those repair bunkers dotted around the map so you benefit yourself and your teammates if you can afford to do so. And also, as always, if you're again still floating resources, always put down some caches on high fuel and high munitions points to benefit yourself and the rest of your team. So you're probably wondering why I think this build is specifically for team games and not 1v1. Well, the reason is because I suggest you going for the Nebel in this build. In 1v1, a Nebel Werfer really early on is probably not a good idea, because in 1v1, it's very unlikely your opponents could be having that many support weapons, maybe one or two, and you're best off just flanking with infantry and coming in from the side and using light vehicles to harass your opponent. This is, to Nebel, you get the Nebel Werfer to hit a lot of units, a lot of blobbed up units, which will happen a lot more in team games. Also, I don't advise normally going for the Obice, because I find it's really easy to kill in team games, especially with all the off maps there are, and placements in general. I just feel are super squishy right now, and they probably need a bit of a buff. So I think the Obice is just is just a huge investment, and it dies very easy. It does hit quite hard, and with the officer, you can combine it to be quite strong. But I think, I'd much prefer the Nebel's really good as well. You get a couple of them, and they move as well, right? The Nebels, they can move around the map. They can, so you can fire and move, and then you can avoid getting hit yourself, basically. Whereas the Obice, you're stationary, right? You're going to get absolutely smashed by enemy artillery. Especially what I find, which I'm going to do a build on for the Brits soon, is that double bishops, absolutely, even one bishop on its own, but double together, you can almost guarantee one barrage from each of them onto an Obice, kills it, and that's just a huge waste of resources for that Wehrmacht player. But yeah, guys, that's the build there. If you've got any questions about this build, or if you feel like maybe you've got something with your own build that you've done which is really good, put it in the comments below. Maybe I can test it out and see if it works. But yeah, feel free to leave any questions. I'll get back to you guys on that, and I'll be working on a Brit build order for you guys shortly after this. And I still got to do the American one. The new American, I need to go over the American command. I've not really played that at all, much the American one, because I've not feeling it's any really that good. I think Rangers are pretty decent, but they're super expensive. But anyway, I'll get into that into another video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you've been enjoying the content, please hit the subscription button. I have been streaming and covering Company Heroes for a long time, and I know that apparently 75% of my viewership on YouTube is not even subscribed. So help me out with hitting that subscription button, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Take care.